the lab this week is metric system. It's lab 1. Metric system. So I'll be sending you guys this after. Maybe I'll send them before from. Yeah, it's easier after, I think. Yeah, after would. Maybe. I got to figure that out. For now, after, I'll send you the packets. Anyways, okay. So every lab has a pre-lab, meaning all that is just some questions in the pre-lab. So you'll want to do those, okay? But let's start by talking about the metric system. So the metric system is, it's the measuring system that is utilized by scientists globally. So in the United States, we have the American Standard System of Measurements. And so when in the US, you might think of length in inches and feet, miles, or weight is in pounds and degrees Fahrenheit. So these things scientists do not use ever to make measurements or calculations. We use the metric system. So length would be meters, centimeters, millimeters, kilometers. We use mass as the unit of measurement, the mass of an object, which we'll talk about what mass means. And so those are grams, like how many grams or kilograms are in, does that object, what is that object's mass in grams or whatever. And for temperature, we use Celsius, not Fahrenheit, metric system, okay? So first thing I'll write is a good thing about the metric system. It's based on the power of 10, tens, okay? So metric system I'm just gonna write based on power of tens, and we'll discuss what that means. Okay, so when I say the metric system is based on powers of 10, what I mean is that when we are measuring something very small in length or very long in length, the way that different measurements or different units, I should say, are seen or used is based on just a number of zeros. So the first thing I'm gonna, I think the first thing I'll do that will really clarify this is talk about how the metric system works, okay? And it works with base units, depending on what measurement we're gonna be taking, whether it's length or mass or temperature, volume of a liquid. So let's write that first, and then we'll talk about what this really means in context. So let's do the type of, we're gonna do a little table, and you'll find this in your lab as well. So we're gonna have this table with measurement, so the type of measurement we're taking, the base unit, then the abbreviation, column for abbreviation. Didn't exactly fit, but abbreviation. You guys can all see this. I can scoot this up a little bit. Okay. So 4 types of measurements that we can take as scientists. We can do blue, can do the length of something, do the length of something. We can do volume. Volume is a measurement of liquid, like a 2-liter bottle of soda, for instance. So liters is a measurement of the volume of that liquid, how much liquid. And then I mentioned mass, the mass of an object. So mass, as opposed to weight, the mass of an object refers to how much stuff is in that object. And the more scientific word for stuff is matter. So how much matter is in my pen, for instance? What is the mass of this pen? How much stuff is in this pen? Matter being solid, liquid, gas, substance. How much is in this pen? Versus how much is in an elephant. An elephant's going to have a much larger mass, right? A lot more stuff inside. And so that's what a mass is. And interestingly, mass is different than weight. If I'm here on Earth, my mass is the same as if I were on the moon. My mass doesn't change if I'm on the moon or Earth. However, my weight does change. Weight is a measurement of the force of gravity. So I weigh less on the moon. I have less weight because there's less gravity. That's just a little interesting side note. Okay. Last is temperature. We're measuring the temperature of something. How hot, how cold. And so in the metric system, we have what we call base units. So the base unit for length will be the meter. You know what? I'll do it in a different color. Like I said, I love colors. So let's do green for the base unit. Meter. The base unit of length is the meter. The base unit for volume is liter, L-I-T-E-R. Mass, the gram, or grams, so we'll write gram. And then temperature is going to be degrees Celsius. Not Fahrenheit. I forgot how to spell Celsius. Don't really. Not good at spelling sometimes. All right. Anyway, so those are our base units, okay? And I'll, again, after we do this, I'll explain how we use our base units in the metric system and how we take, or while we take our measurements. The abbreviation for meter is going to be M, so lowercase m. Liter is actually a capital L for liter. gram is a lowercase g for grams. And then degrees Celsius is this tiny little circle up high, superscript, with a C, big capital C like that. So again, scientists we use this. And the reason this power of 10 thing, you'll see what that means in a sec. The metric says it's easy. It's easier. The English standard system is of measurement. It's like, for some reason, they're just arbitrary random numbers, like 12 inches in a foot. Why is it 12? Why isn't it just 10 or 100 or something, a power of 10, 1,000? It's 12. How many feet are in a mile? Oh, like 5,200. I can never remember. Like, why? Everything in the metric system, it's power of tens, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, just adding zeros, or 1/10, 1/100th, 1/1000th. So we'll take a look at that in a moment. Okay, let's take a look at that. I'm going to leave this up, this table, because we're going to look at it again. And I think I'll just go ahead and erase the top here. Okay. So in your lab, you're going to find this table shown here. And in this table, you have lots of prefixes. They're abbreviations, and then the meaning, okay? And then you'll notice, importantly, that in the middle of the table, you have the base unit. Base unit. So we're going to start with length for right now. And so if we're measuring something, the length of something, and we basically, we always start with our base unit, meter, okay? And depending on if this object is very long or very small, we have to use different prefixes that come before that base unit. So for instance, and it mentions this, there are a lot of prefixes, first of all. We don't use all of them. Some of them I've never used in my life, like hecto or mega, giga, or deci, pico, very rarely. But anyway, so this table, what it tells you is, for instance, something we do use, centimeters. One centimeter now, like I said, we always look at the base unit compared to these other prefixes, okay? 1 centimeter, and this will tell you, so let me find it. So centi, right? Centi. 1 centimeter is 1/100th of your base unit. It always refers to the base unit. So 1 centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. So if you've ever seen a meter stick, I usually have one in the classroom, it's like this big. 1 centimeter is 1/100th of that meter, meaning 100 centimeters will fill up that entire meter. So centimeters are small, they're smaller. In contrast, if you look at kilo, the prefix kilo for kilometer, kilometer, it has 1,000. So that means 1 kilometer is going to be 1,000 meters, meaning that's a larger measurement. 1 kilometer is very big. It's 1,000 of those meter sticks, right? So if I told you that 1 millimeter is 1/1000th of a meter, how many millimeters are in a meter? 1,000. Yeah, exactly. Cool. So the really nice thing about the metric system is that this table, this applies whether you're talking about length, volume, mass, temperatures doesn't, you never do it. It's just one thing. So ignore temperature. But anytime you do these, you use these prefixes. So you can have a kiloliter versus 1,000 liters. So I can just change this if I want. If we're doing liquid volume, you could say 1 centiliter with a capital L equals 1/100th of a liter. So 100 centiliters are in 1 liter, and then 1 kiloliter equals 1,000 liters. Importantly, you'll see in the lab that there are asterisks, little stars next to a few of these. They're the ones that we use in this class and in science in general. Like I said, I've never seen giga or pico, deci really. I've seen nano, nanometers, if you're talking about really small. But like I said, okay, so you could also do it for mass, by the way. So like centigrams equals 1/100th of a gram. 1 milligram equals 1/1000th of a gram. Does that make sense to everyone? Let's see what the time is. Oh wow, it's already 4:30. Oh, that's okay. It's supposed to go till 5-ish, but a couple more things I wanted to mention before I end the session tonight. So you'll be going through the lab, and normally we're measuring things, measuring the lengths of things, but Stacy does that, and there'll be a video provided with data, like how long something is, like the lab bench and whatnot. I want to show you how to do unit conversions, because on the lab exam, I'm probably going to have a few of those types of questions. So I actually, and there's a few in the lab as well, such as convert the length of the lab bench to millimeters. So if you measure the length of your lab bench or your desk in meters, the base unit, like meters, like, oh, it's 2 meters long. And if I ask, oh, it's 2 meters long, how many millimeters is that? Well, how many is it? If 1,000 millimeters are in 1 meter, and if I told you your lab bench is 2 of these meters, how many millimeters long is your lab bench? 2,000, exactly. So that's a little mental math, but I'm going to show you guys, when it gets a little more tricky-ish, how to do these types of conversions. And again, the same rules apply whether you're talking about liters and you're measuring liquid volume, or even the mass of an object. If you measured something in grams, something's like 3.24 grams, and I want to know how many kilograms that is, that kind of thing. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to erase this. Okay, so I pulled up a list of problems. Oh wait, I'm not. Let me see. Okay, so let's do a few of these. The first is going to be how many millimeters are in 20 centimeters. And maybe I'll abbreviate that as cm. Okay, how many millimeters are in 20 centimeters? So for all of these types of problems, which you'll have a few in your lab, I take what we know, what they give us in the problem first, and I put it over 1, okay? So 20 centimeters. Okay, let's put it over 1. 20 cm over 1. Okay, and then I put parentheses around it. We're going to be multiplying. Okay, so we want to get to millimeters. Now, this is what I do every time. After I put what I know over 1, I say, I want to get to my base unit. I say it with passion. I want to get to my base unit. So I have to know the conversion. So this is what I do. I set up the next fraction here to multiply. And I automatically am going to put this unit on the bottom so that they cancel out, because I'm trying to get to millimeters. So I'm always just going to be canceling that first one out. I'm converting. But when I set this up, I need to know the conversion factor. What am I going to multiply by? So centimeters, and like I said, we're always going to that base unit. So we're in length. So what's the base unit for length? Meter, totally. So let's write m here. So we're going to get to meters first. Like I said, I don't go directly to the unit. This is just me. I don't know that mentally. Like, I go to the base unit first. So centimeters to meters. So mentally I say, okay, here's a meter, right? Got a meter stick. Centimeters are smaller. One centimeter is 100th of a meter. 100 centimeters are in 1 meter. Boom. So I know that this makes sense because I say, oh, 1 meter stick has 100 centimeters in it. So now I'm in meters. I crossed out centimeters, I'm in meters. Now that I'm in meters, I can set this up and I can go to centimeters. So if I'm going to centimeters, I want to cross out meters. And I'm getting to centimeters. Oh, I'm sorry, millimeters. Oops, my bad. Going to millimeters, right? We started in centimeters. How many millimeters are in 1 meter? Milli. So you're going to get this table so you'll know it has it all here. 1,000, yeah. There's 1,000, millimeters are very small. There's 1,000 of them in 1 meter. And now the only thing we do is do the math with a calculator. So use my phone here. So 20 is going to be divided by 100. And then you get that answer, and then multiply it by 1,000. And the answer is 200. We get the answer is 200 millimeters. That's how many millimeters are in 20 centimeters. Any questions about that conversion? I converted from centimeters, right, to millimeters. We're gonna do one more. I hope I have a good other one here. Okay, no questions. Awesome. All right. Not awesome. Well, you know what I mean. I love questions. If you have questions, great. Okay, so let's do one more. Okay, so yeah, I'll erase this. Get the most room. All right, and this time, let's do the problem. How many kilograms are in 10 grams? Now, I know what you might be thinking. Kilograms, that's massive. Kilo's bigger, right? That doesn't even fit into grams. Grams are smaller. Remember that, so then the base unit is sort of in the middle. The meter, the gram, the liter, they're in the middle of this, the bigger and the smaller units. So kilogram, it doesn't even fit. Well, turns out our answer is going to be pretty small. Because a kilometer is like a mile, right? Oh, I'm sorry, we're in grams. Pretty heavy. A lot of mass. So it can't fit into smaller mass, so it's going to be a smaller fraction. So we'll find that out. We'll see that. Okay, like I said, we start with what we know. 10 grams. So let's start there. 10 grams, put it over 1. And we're going to multiply. So again, first thing I like to do with these problems is get to that base unit. But oh my goodness, we're already there. Remember, the base unit is grams for mass. I didn't ask you how many kilograms are in 10 milligrams or 10 centigrams, right? We're already in grams, so I don't have to get to the base unit. So it's going to be a direct conversion. So let's do another fraction here. Grams will go below so that they cancel. Since we're already at our base unit, we can go directly here to kilograms. And so then, this is a sort of different tricky thing, and I see it, Daniela's got it. This time I'm not gonna write 1 gram here. This is more of an intuitive thing. I'm gonna write 1 up here and 1,000 here. And the reason, because last time we wrote the 1 next to the base unit for meter, and I think we had millimeters or centimeters, centimeters. And that made sense because 1 meter, 100 centimeters fits into 1 meter. If I were to write 1,000 kilograms and 1 gram there, well, 1,000 kilograms, 1 kilogram is super heavy. 1,000 is like an elephant. 1 gram is the weight of my paper. That's a gram. Kilo is heavier. So the thing that you gotta just ask yourself, what makes sense here? And when we have the bigger unit like kilo, what makes sense is to say 1 kilogram is going to be 1,000 grams, 1,000 of that base unit. Intuitively, you could also be like 1 kilometer if it was a measure or a length problem. It's like a mile, right? So 1,000 meters makes sense. 1,000 of those meter sticks will fit that 1 kilometer, not the other way around. So that's how you set it up. And so grams cancel out. We are now in our desired unit, kilogram, and we do the math. 10 times 1 on the top divided by 1,000. And I don't teach math, so I'm going to do it on my calculator to be safe. And you get 0.01 kilograms. Okay. So those are a couple examples of conversion problems. 1 or 2 things I want to mention now. So unless there's questions about that. Let's see. I'll just quickly talk about so she has a videos for measuring volume, what's going to be happening in this volume part of the lab. Essentially, Stacy is going to be measuring 20 milliliters of water with using different types of glassware. So she's going to use a graduated cylinder. So you'll see that in the video and what that looks like. So she'll measure 20 milliliters of water using that. She'll use a bigger graduated cylinder. So she'll do the same thing with that. A beaker and a transfer pipette. So she's measuring 20 milliliters of water with different measuring devices. Good question, Sophia. So where can we find the videos? They're going to be, when I send this lab packet after this lecture, they're embedded in the packet themselves that you click on. So it says like, watch the video on blah, 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 and you click it and then it takes you there in YouTube. Good question. So the protocol's there. She does the experiment for you. You would be doing it in the lab, but so she's going to be measuring 20 milliliters of water with these different devices and then using this formula here to calculate the percent error, how accurate or inaccurate these measuring devices were. So that's a quick little explanation of what's going on there. Okay, and then let's see. Yes, great question. The measurements, they're actually in the video. Pretty sure, let me double check. Yeah, so great question. So where's the data that she gets to fill out this data table? It's in the video. She provides it. So she'll have a picture of her recordings for the mass of the beaker alone, or the percent. Well, I hope she provides. What does she provide? She must provide the mass of the beaker. You might have to do some of the math But the measured volume of water and what she records, she'll provide that to you. Percent error, you might have to calculate on your own. Maybe she did it for you. She certainly provides the class average, so that's good. So that's cool. Yeah, unfortunately, Elizabeth, yeah, that's something a bit out of my control. Not just because I work at Mira Costa, but because of the pandemic and everything, yeah, labs are at home. It's observation based. I can't really tell you to go buy a beaker and flask and spend money and stuff. So yeah, it is pretty much observation based. Yeah, this is probably one of the craziest times in history. All of us biology instructors and science instructors were like, how are we going to have students do labs at home? So this is our attempt. But yeah, we're victim of circumstance at the moment. But anyways, your chemistry class really has a lab kit? Wow. Yeah, I'm jealous. Yeah, that's nice. I wish we had lab kits, you're scared. Don't burn your house down. Yeah, I just, my schools that I work at, lab kits can be expensive, but no, they do the videos. Fortunately, they do a good job. I've watched them, and they're very instructive, and to the point, So anyway, what else did I want to mention? Okay, last important thing that I want to mention for the lab tonight. Besides the fact that it's going to be due Friday by midnight, you'll notice, so you might want to write this down, but you'll notice on page 7, so like it is the last page of this lab that I'm going to send you guys. Collection of class data. See how I wrote no? Measuring the length of your lower arm and your height. Don't do it. We're not going to do that. You really need meter sticks, and I'd need all of your data, and I'm not going to, to organize that and have you send it or share it. It's too much. So we're not doing that. Okay. So that's just FYI. It's just this section here on page 7, the last page. What part? Oh boy, it glitched. Okay, I'll repeat myself. Collection of class data where it says to measure the length of your arm and your height. You don't have to do that. Sorry. Where I crossed out and said no to this part. But you'll do the post-lab question, and that's it. That's it. That's the metric system lab. So I'm going to be sending you guys this with the videos embedded in, and yeah, within the next few hours. It's due Friday night. Again, on Canvas, I'm going to have a link for instructions on how to fill out the labs and submit them. Any final questions before we call it a night? I feel like we did everything. The labs are separate from homework. Well, there's not really any homework. There's the lab packets, and then there's going to be those Canvas quizzes on lecture material, which I'll talk about next week. I wrote that down, right? Yeah. So there's not really much homework that I assign. Yeah. Other questions, or are we pooped? All right, well, it's great to sort of meet you guys. Okay, you said you are going to send, yes, absolutely. So Addie asked about how to submit the packet. I'm not going to send it to you, but it'll be on Canvas. What I'm going to send you is the lab itself and some guidance there. And then the Canvas, oh, waitlist people, yeah, stick around. I'm gonna be emailing you. But anyway, so to answer Addie's question, how to submit the labs, how to edit them and type in your answers or write them, print them out and write them. That, those instructions are gonna be on the Canvas homepage. I'm gonna put a link there and there's gonna be detailed instructions, okay? So I'm gonna add that tonight, probably in the next hour or so. So that you know how to do that. And then I'll be sending you the email with the lab itself. Conversions. We just did the conversions. Those are those. Yeah. All right, well, is that it? Awesome. Well, I look forward to working with you guys. And I feel like you guys are awesome already because you're doing an online course during this, and good for you. I mean, that's very, very difficult to be doing that. So, all right, we'll be in touch shortly. Look out for my email. And again, Canvas homepage, there'll be a link, how to do the labs, how to submit the labs. And I'll see you guys Thursday. Again, I'll email you about an hour, 2 p.m. roughly, before with a Zoom link and a password for the next lecture on scientific method. Thank you. All right, guys, have a great night, and I'll see you Thursday.